Testing, testing. Okay, then. Damn it. Okay, dinner. Okay, then. Let's just. Morning, Anita. Good to see you here. Just waiting to see if anyone else shows up for the stream. Yes, their 21st film. And for most people, probably one of the more underrated Disney classics, and I am one of those people, so. Okay, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. So, 1 second. Okay, there's nothing. All right. All right. So welcome back to another Disney Watch On. Today we'll be looking at the next Disney animated classic from 1973. We got Robin Hood. So I'm sure, like for a lot of us, this was our introduction to the classic tale of the Sherwood Forest hero. And yeah, this was probably my first introduction to the character. I mean, since then I've seen plenty of Robin Hood adaptations. I've seen the 1938 film with Errol Flynn, which is probably my favorite Robin Hood movie. I've seen Prince of Thieves with Kevin Costner. I've watched some of the BBC Robin Hood TV show, which I remember liking that. So it's had quite a few adaptations, but this is the one that holds a special place for a lot of people. So let's not beat around the bush. Yeah. Just getting this set up. Okay, good there. Go ahead and put that on. Roy E. Disney died in 1971. Yeah, only 2 years before this one came out. Okay, is it connecting or what? Okay, it's connected. All right. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, it's starting now. I know Roy O. Disney is, Interesting note, apparently this wasn't the first Robin Hood movie that Disney did. They did a live action film in the 50s. So yeah, let me put this way. If you made a drinking game out of the amount of times this film reuses animation, I think you'd pass out after, I don't know, 5 to 10 shots, because this film is pretty infamous for how much they reuse animation. But then again, I guess given this film's rough production history and the loss of money that Disney has been going through at the time, I guess they had to reuse quite a lot of animation. I mean, it's even the point where Little John is voiced by by Phil Harris, the same actor who previously did Baloo. I mean, it pretty much is just Baloo, just with a different coat of just different colored fur and wearing clothes. Yes, and Thomas O'Malley from the rest of Cats. You mean this music would influence the hamster dance in 2000 later on? Do you remember back in the day when they did the credits at the beginning of the film and not the end? Definitely was a different time. Yeah, until the Black Cauldron, which is still a little bit of ways away from here, but you get the idea. Gosh, the detail in the backgrounds are just so insane. Like, can't imagine. I mean, I know I've said this before since Snow White, but it's you have to consider the amount of time and talent it must take to paint these backgrounds, like the trees and the grass, and the fine detail within them. You just don't see that as much nowadays, unless it's like some independent film. That's mostly because almost every mainstream animated film now is computer animated. So, yeah, yeah. And I like Zootopia. Don't get me wrong, but let's just. I've always had a preference to traditional. Hey, Drew, nice to see you here. As I was saying, I guess I've always just had a preference for traditional hand-drawn animation over computer animation. It's just that traditional animation just ages better than computer animation. Like you look at the first Toy Story, that film is it's still a good movie, but you could tell it's a film from the '90s. Where you look at Robin Hood here, even though it came out in the '70s, if it came out today, it would still look just as good. This film has different aspect ratios. I never noticed that, but then again, I haven't seen this movie in a while, so and enter our villain, Prince John. Probably up there as one of the funniest Disney villains. And I'm just reminded when the nostalgia critic he did his top 11 funniest Disney villains. I think he had Prince John like third place, only after Gaston and Hades, which can't really argue with that. And of course, Prince John has serious like mommy issues. So Sir S, just like Ka, has the same ability to hypnotize, which kind of makes me wonder. Like, this is the only time in the film we see him use his hypnosis. So, you know, like it makes me wonder why doesn't Hiss use his hypnosis? Like, he probably could take over. I mean, I'm guessing he would be more competent as ruler than Prince John. Just saying. Okay, that's a cool looking. That's a cool thing they did with Hiss, where they made him look like he's leaning on his arms, but he doesn't have arms; just his body. That's a cool looking like use of character animation right there. Again, I said this with Khan, the Jungle Book, but animators must these animators must have a time of their life animating snakes. You know, I guess they would be easier to animate since they don't have limbs to get in the way. Yes, you mentioned that before Circe joined the SpongeBob Adventure, whatever it's called. Like I said, I wouldn't know about that because I don't watch that stuff. I never really watched the Pooh's Adventures. I may have seen trailers, but never actual videos. It's just something I never really cared that much about. Wow, sex as much, John? Clearly, he has not enough experience. No, women are just as capable of being thieves as men. Just saying. I know. Yeah, you're already breaking the law anyway. Might as well go. Yeah, tell that to Little John. Just which I don't know why it took me a long time to suddenly process that there are two characters in the movie named John. You know, Little John and Prince John. Just thought. But then again, I guess it's the same with any Robin Hood adaptation. So. Mhm. Brian Bedford's only voice role in animation long before his death in 2016. Yeah. Okay, Robin, you're kind of pushing it there, man. I know, like even Little John can say, like, dude, come on, buddy, you're pushing this a little too far. And you guys remove the hubcaps that easily? I mean, I guess Little John is really strong, so that's kind of his thing. So the Rhino guards don't notice him stealing the money? Terry Thomas. Called Kingdom of Gifts. Not familiar with that movie. I did say rhinos. I'm just saying, like, did they not? Yeah, okay, yeah, I know the running giving the rhinos are thought to have bad eyesight, like they're nearsighted. I know, right? Why did you might as well have stole his crown? Unless they have standards, I don't know. You know, it horrifies me the idea if Disney decides to make a live action remake of this. I mean, okay, if they want to make a Robin Hood film, fine, but if they want to do this movie, I'd just be terrified to know what the animals would look like. You know, it would just be like what they did with Honest John in the Pinocchio remake. It just wouldn't look right. Ah, yes, the Sheriff of Nottingham, the other main antagonist of this film. Never heard of the Peaches, so I wouldn't know, but it's cool that he did other things. Yep. So okay, the dog with the limp, he mentions God bless Robin Hood. So they believe in God, which begs the question: is it the God we worship, or do they have their own God? Like, just I don't know. Maybe it's not worth thinking too much about. But much like Phil Harris, Pat Buttram just has that iconic voice that just works for animation. Yeah, he would later do Chief in the Fox Now, and he would voice that one character from The Rescuers, the one that drinks gasoline or whatever. Yeah, let's not open that can of worms. I mean, to be fair, God also created all the animals too. So for all we know, maybe it is the same God that we worship. So just and we go to the rabbit family, who she has a lot of kids, but rabbit. Yeah, it won't end for you, Sheriff. Just what a dick. The Sheriff of Nottingham is how you do an ass villain right. Like no redeemable quality. He just goes around with that shit-eating grin. And even steals from a blind. Like, what? I know, right? Just one coin or whatever the currency is over there, like whatever Skippy said. It surprised me how people can easily fall for Robin Hood's disguises. Like it doesn't seem like there are that many other anthropomorphic foxes in this town. So Waterhole number 3 is clearly you know a few movies that I'm not that familiar with, Anita. I mean, it's neat. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I guess Robin Hood has a spare hat that he could just give away. Yeah, I saw your comment. It's just I know, right? Well, why are we letting these children play with bow and arrows? I get this was a different time period, but I bet even back then there must have been like a age range of when you can play with bow and arrows. I mean, unless it's like a like desperate situations and they need to help the parents hunt for food. And Skippy could have easily killed someone if they shot someone in the castle. Just saying. Thanks, Toby. That needed that lovely image. I know, right? If it did hit Prince John. Although then I guess that would leave the Sheriff of Nottingham to go out and hunt down the person who killed him. So, you know, you kids are really bad with words. I mean, I get it, they're children, but And we finally meet Maid Marian and Lady Cluck. Friars rubbing not based on that title, that just created a really bad image. But like I said, there's been several Robin Hood adaptations. Like I mentioned earlier, apparently Disney did do a Robin Hood movie before this in the 50s. At the YouTube, yeah, okay, yeah. So it's not even a movie; it's just a YTP. That explains the title. Hold on a second. Yeah, the geese from the Aristocats. Again, Disney really loved to reuse reuse like how they love to reuse animation. They love to reuse voice actors. Ted Turner, you know, of course she does. She's a rabbit. I know it's a little early to say this now, but I'm just gonna come out and say it. Can we just agree that Lady Cluck is the best character in this movie? Just, just saying. Has no one else noticed what? She's definitely one of yeah. Notice the initials on the tree. What RJ and MM? Is it all the Cartoon Network shows? It's unlikely all of them. There's a lot of Cartoon Network shows I have no interest in including, but I do plan to use some of them. I mean, you already saw in the first round that I included a few like Powerpuff Girls and I think that might be the only one I've included so far. Oh, Samurai Jack, that's another one. Yeah, that's Cartoon Network. Marion, that's you don't realize he's a child, right? just saying. All right. To be fair, if Marion had kissed if Marion kissed him on the lips, then it would be bad. But it was just more of a playful. But still, I mean, it was a different time period. Could be like Spike and Rarity. I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched MLP Friendship with Magic in a long time, so from what I remember, they Rarity never took the whole Spike crush on her that seriously. Yeah, before Zootopia, there was wrong. Disney does have a thing for foxes, don't they? I was going to say we haven't seen Robin Hood in a while, so yeah, or Zootropolis if you're from the UK. Damn, John. Well, like I said before, it is Phil Harris voicing Little John, so it practically is just Baloo. I know at least Robin is decent. He's good with kids. He's very kind, and he wants to help those who are in need. I mean, what woman wouldn't love that? One thing I think is kind of interesting is that of the three, like the guards that Prince John has, the elephants, rhinos, and hippos. I think it's interesting that they animate the rhinos to be the most intimidating looking out of the ball. When in reality, of those three animals, I think the rhinos are the ones you should be the least afraid of. Since I'm pretty sure elephants and hippos have killed more people than rhinos have. Yeah, I guess there was originally going to be an Aristocats 2, but it was canceled, just like Dumbo 2. Probably for the best. Because what can you do with a sequel to the Aristocats? Yeah, I wouldn't know. I never saw. I'm familiar with the Robin Hood YTPs, but I just never seen them, so I might not get the references. Well, I mean, with the Robin Hood 2, I think you could do something with. I mean, Sir Hess, nobody likes a suck up. I know, right? I mean, Sir Hess is practically Cod, just minus the Sterling Holloway voice. Also, remember earlier I mentioned that my favorite Robin Hood movie is The Adventures of Robin Hood from 1938? Well, having seen that movie, Robin Hood in that movie uses a similar disguise as Robin Hood in this film, so it makes me wonder if the Disney film took some influence from that movie. Again, I'm just saying, Winsor has to be a competent leader than John, considering that he clearly can see through these disguises. Well, at least Prince John learns from lesson not to let them anyone kiss his jewels. Yeah, I'd rather not count all the Reeves animation, considering how many times this movie does that. Yeah, I know. Wouldn't John rather be called King and not Prince? I know, right? Because this movie is famous for all of the times it reuses animation from past Disney films, considering the studio at the time was not doing well financially. Yeah, keep your snake eyes open, considering that. I mean, I know this movie doesn't do that, but in real life, snakes cannot close their eyes. Well, with Reynard the Fox, there was that French stop motion animated film of called The Tale of the Fox that was released in 1937. So, but yeah, I guess that's what you're referencing to. So, like she can remember. I guess she remembers, recognizes his eyes. Yeah, I know, right? Of course, it'll be a while till we get to. It'll still be a while to get to Aladdin or just the Disney Renaissance. I mean, we're getting closer to that era, but you know, I want to get a haircut there, buddy. Yeah, I know subtlety isn't really Robin's strong suit. I love how the sheriff. I love how the sheriff is the only person that everyone boos at. You were saying? I get that Robin Hood wants to win so he can kiss Maid Marian, but you might want to cut down on the bullseyes that because if you keep getting bullseyes, it's just going to leave suspicion. Just saying. Like even Prince John is starting to catch on. Shows you the sheriff really isn't all that bright. I love how Friar Tuck just uses the Rooster's guitar as like a bow. I think that's what makes Prince John a better Disney villain than most people give credit for because he's not just yeah he's a coward, but he's also because he's not he shows that he's not as dumb as he looks. Yeah, I know. Like his just stares. Like you recognize Robin just by staring at his ass. Like you trying to tell us something? But yeah, I'm aware, Anita, that that was one of the big criticisms of this movie. How much they reuse animation. How it comes off as lazy. Yeah, Prince John is very over the top, but that's what makes him so fun. Okay, yeah, yeah, everyone can tell you clearly cheated. Yeah, he clearly wins. Yeah, no, right. The arrow didn't go right through it to kill Nutsy. It's just, I mean, I guess John doesn't care so much about cheating. I suppose. I mean, it's the sheriff. I guess he has that priority. Yep, true. I mean, I mean, you'd think Robin and Little John would have figured that this whole thing was a trap, but yeah, Ken Curtis, rest in peace. Oh, so you're like the Queen of Hearts now, is just yelling off with their heads. It's just yeah, this is how the revolution starts. You destroyed the hero of the town, and you're gonna have everyone on your front door. I love everyone calls the sheriff Bushel Britches. Is that just his nickname? Oh, now sheriff, you decide to grow a brain? Yeah, that's like I believe Little John using the term bushel britches, but like everyone else seems to refer to that. At least that's what Lady Cluck uses. Yeah, Prince John is still a wuss. I know, right? He's not Prince John isn't really made for like combat. I know, right? Not the worst place for pros. It's not like in the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie when Barbosa tries to wed Will and Elizabeth. It's yeah, this is easily the most action packed scene in the movie. Dang, Marion. Like Robin Hood says 6 children, she says at least a dozen. Like, man, she really wants it. Well, there's a reuse scene from the Jungle Book. And this is why Lady Cluck is one of the best characters in the movie. Yeah, no, like the Super Bowl. I mean, I guess that would be their version of the Super Bowl. So thanks, Hiss, but you're a little late for that. I know, right? Just Hiss, ignore the pink elephants that you might end up seeing. And we get this film's love song, which not one of my personal favorites, but it's okay for what it is. It's no A Whole New World or Being the Beast or Can You Feel the Love Tonight or Kiss the Girl. If I Never Knew You. You mean the deleted song from Pocahontas? Yeah, that one's fine, I guess, but or at least depending on which version of the movie you're watching. Because I know in some renditions they put it back in, but wait, they play the song "Fantastic Mr. Fox"? I don't remember that. I mean, and I've seen that movie quite a few times. I don't. Hmm. Yeah, I know. Mickey's Christmas Carol basically was like a crossover with a lot of Disney characters. And now we get this film's essentially their version of a diss track when you think about it. Yeah, this whole song segment is very famous for how much they reuse animation. Like you saw a bit from Snow White, you saw a bit from the Jungle Book. There's bits from the Aristocats. It's crazy. I know, right between this and the Cruella de Vil song. Yeah, some of the villain songs were just made to just mock the villains themselves. It's okay. So I mentioned they reused animation of the Aristocats. They even reused the racist cat from that movie. I don't know. This is a little funny to me. Yeah, you better be glad we didn't turn this into a drinking game. I mean, I don't drink or anything, but I imagine if we did, we would pass out within maybe after the first 10 references. Prima's version of the Phony King of England. That'd be interesting to listen to. Even the Sheriff of Nottingham is singing the song because I think he's self-aware that John is just pathetic. All right. Hmm. That is what makes Prince John so terrifying. Is that his childish behavior is really a threat because he like he can't even handle people singing a song that mocks him. So, well, even the narrator gets locked up. So essentially, lock up the majority of the town in prison. And all right, even the children, like, what are they supposed to do? All right, and yeah, around like they have food privileges there. I mean, okay then. I guess Fire Tuck didn't get the memo that most of the town's been locked up. Yeah, I figure they made a Pooh's Adventures for everything. I know one coin doesn't mean anything, but maybe it was different back then. So where farthing comes from. Yeah, I know. You never. Yeah, that's a rule with movies. Don't ever say it can't get worse because it always gets worse. And now Fryer has completely lost it. I know, right? It says even though other members of the church just want him to kick his ass. Yeah, I recognize that Piglet's voice in that mouse. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the hamster dance, so I wouldn't know. You know, Cyrus brings up a good point. Like, John, really, you're seriously going to hang a man of the church, which I'm pretty sure there was a thing back then that you couldn't do that. If I understand correctly. Yeah, this part of the film turns into a prison break film. really, really nuts. You're just lucky that the sheriff didn't have that noose around his neck. Yeah, no. How did Robin get in there? I get that he's disguised as a blind old man, but like, surely there must have been guards around the castle. I know Friar Tuck is kind of a big fella, so I don't know. Hope on their sake that's a strong rope. I mean, yeah, I know the voice actor of Lafayette. I know he's in this movie, so this movie must have really had a strict budget because not only did they reuse animation from past Disney films, they reused animation within its own film. So, I mean, then again, some past Disney films did the same thing too. So, you know, yeah, pea shooter. I mean, he's called Trigger for a reason. It makes sense because he's the one with the arrow. So, George Bruns, yeah. Yeah, I know, right? Like, did the sheriff not think about that? Like, this is an attempt. Like, he should know that Ron would be showing up since, again, this is just another trap. Yeah, I recognize that voice of the crocodile in this film. It's the same actor who did that one um Minion in Sleeping Beauty and the Indian chief in Peter Pan. You said that already. Wait, they let Skippy keep his bow and arrow. And now Robin to get the town their money back. So none of the guards see Robin climbing along the castle wall. Consider how many guards they have. I mean, I know, right? Good Little John is also a good shot. So wait, John sleeps with his crown on? Yeah, figures. I guess, yeah, I guess this is the first Disney animated classic to star anthropomorphic animals. I mean, there have been anthropomorphic animals in past Disney projects, but wait, why does Hiss sleep in the same room as John? I mean, you don't have your own room to sleep in? Is John that much of a greedy jerk that he won't even give you your own room? Well, the castle should be huge. I mean, true. I guess Princeton shouldn't be alone, given how many people probably want him dead for one thing. Whoop. Well, that was quick, Little John. I know his sleeps in a baby crib. Like really. Oh dear, dawn is approaching. Better hurry. Robin, I would just leave. So what? Just leave. Is it really worth getting the last bag? It's you have more than enough. And it begins. I guess we got to have our climax start somehow. I mean, you're losing some of it anyway, so it's like, does it really matter at this point? I guess those rhinos do have bad eyesight because they clearly didn't see the prince right in front of them. Man, those guards have really bad aim. I know, right? Even the stormtroopers have better aim than these guys. Really, lady, you forgot one of your kids? I mean, I know you have a lot of kids, but seriously? So I heard that this film was supposed to have a slightly different climax. Like Robin Hood was supposed to get injured, and Maid Marian was supposed to help him. Because like, you notice Marion completely disappears at this point in the movie. Like I've seen the deleted storyboards where they show that Marion was trying to heal him, and then John was about to execute Robin, only for King Richard to return. I mean, it would give King Richard more screen time other than the one scene he has at the end. Yeah, no, that's what it said. That there's a deleted alternate ending where yeah, on the well, actually, I believe on this Blu-ray, it comes with there's a bonus feature that shows the storyboard of the scene. Yeah, I know, right? How flammable is a stone castle of all things? Like, yeah, how did the sheriff get out alive? But then again, how did Prince John and Sir Hiss get out alive? Yeah, like this scene right here where they're shooting the arrows at Robin when he's swimming. Apparently, he was originally meant to actually get injured. He gets shot with the arrow. I guess the climax does have some similarities, some revive to Sin Beauty. I guess I don't know, just minus a giant dragon. Honestly, it's a shame that Disney really doesn't do climaxes like this anymore. But then again, I think that's what happens when you don't really have a traditional villain in your film. You take away an epic climax, like a final battle between good and evil. Yep. And now John has a major crash out. Yeah. Pardon in order of King Richard. Yeah, yeah, someone comes back off screen and they get punished off screen kind of. They're just yeah. Again, I think this is due to the low budget this film had and they just didn't have time to or the money to edit more scenes. Yeah. I mean, I guess if Disney did do a sequel like a to Robin Hood like they did do sequels to other films, I guess it would make some sense because Robin Hood did have other adventures, and I think you've had other enemies other than Prince John or the sheriff. Like you had the guy of Gisborne, you know. I guess they could have done something with that. Somebody's got to watch them have kids. Yeah, that's a weird way of wording that. But yeah, if he's an in-law, that would mean. I mean, isn't that how it is in the Robin Hood story that Maid Marian is King Richard's daughter? I'm pretty sure that's how it usually is. Just married. The end. And so that was Robin Hood, or Disney's 1973 version of the story. Um, yeah, this is still a really fun film. I mean, maybe not one of my all-time favorites, but it's still a classic nonetheless. It's a movie I do love to watch every now and then. Just a fun little movie. That's all. Um, but yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this. But I could see why I am reminded why this is just maybe it's not talked about as yeah. I mean, I guess this film isn't talked about as much as other Disney classics, but then again, the 70s and 80s, well, most of the 80s was a time when a lot of these classics weren't given as much attention as their prior films, the films that come out later. So yes, that was a fun film, and yes, next time we will be heading to the Hundred Acre Wood, so that'll be a fun film to revisit. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I guess I'll catch y'all in the next watch along. So I might try to do one more watch along before I go to work if I feel up to it. So, but yeah, next Disney watch along will be the many events of Winnie the Pooh. So with that being said, I guess I will catch you on the next stream. So later.